Hi, fifth graders. Happy Monday. Today we're going to talk about converting units of time. Okay, so a lot of this you'll already be familiar with. So when we talk about time, the shortest amount is seconds, and then we have minutes, and then we have hours. Okay, and you probably already know this, but there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. And there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Okay, so we're gonna be doing a lot of work today with the number 60. So we are not working with the metric system anymore. So we're not doing the stair steps today. Today we're gonna be back to our 4-step process, okay, with my song. So just a reminder, my song is, first step is write the equation. Second step is write what you know, what you know, what you know. Third step is bigger to smaller, smaller to bigger. Fourth step is solve the equation. Okay? So that's what we're going to be using again, that's what we did at the beginning of last week. Okay? So let's jump right in with our practice problems. Make sure you're writing these down with me. All right. 6 hours equals blank minutes. All right, so that's step 1. Okay, this is overall number 1. That was step 1. Step 2, write what I know. So I'm writing what I know about hours and minutes. So there is 1 hour equals 60 minutes. And I'm just going to use MIN for minutes. Okay. Now I have to decide, am I going bigger to smaller, smaller to bigger? So I'm going hours to minutes. Hours to minutes is bigger to smaller, okay? So I'm going bigger to smaller, which means I'm going to multiply. So I'm going to take my 6 and I'm going to multiply it by 60. 6 hours times 60 minutes, okay? So I'll just go over here and I'll solve it. 0 times 6 is 0. 6 times 6 is 36. So step 4, my answer, 6 hours equals 360 minutes. Okay, problem number 1. All right, next step, problem number 2. Says 390 seconds, step 1. 390 seconds, I'm just going to use S for seconds, equals blank minutes. All right, step 2, write what I know about seconds in minutes. So I'm going to go look back at the top. There are 60 seconds in 1 minute. All right, step 3, bigger to smaller, smaller to bigger. I'm going seconds to minutes, so that's smaller to bigger. So when I go small to big, I divide, which means I'll have to do 390 divided by 60. Okay, now I don't know what that is, so I'm going to have to go over here. 390 divided by 60. Now this is a little tricky because 60 cannot go into 3, 60 cannot go into 39. So I have to just kind of try some things here. So I'll try 60 times 5. 300. Okay, it looks like it's going to be able to go in one more time. Oh, duh, I could have just looked up here and saw that it can go into 390 6 times. If you figured that out and I didn't, great job. So it can go in 6 times. 6 times 60 is 360. Now when I subtract, I don't get an even number. Or I don't get 0, sorry. So right now I have 6 remainder 30. But remember, we know how to have no remainders anymore. So my whole number is 6, and I'm left with 30 out of 60. Now, we know 30 out of 60 can be simplified. Some of you have probably already figured out that 30 over 60 is just half, because 30 is half of 60. So my answer is 6 1/2. So when I go back over here, 390 seconds equals 6 1/2 minutes, okay? I don't want you guys using remainders because you know how to do fractions now, all right? Okay, third problem. They're all going to be kind of a little bit different to get you exposure to all the different kinds of problems that'll be on your practice buddy today. So 208 minutes equals blank hour, blank minutes. So this is going to be one that's also going to have a remainder. And in this case, it's going to want you to put the remainder here. So I'll show you what they mean. Okay, that was step 1. Step 2, write what you know about hours and minutes. So there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. I'm going to ignore that for now because it's already in minutes. Okay, so I'm just going to change it to hours. Okay, now I'm going minutes to hours. So if I look up here, minutes to hours is smaller to bigger. So small to big means I need to divide. Okay, smaller to bigger is always dividing. So I'm going to have my 208 and I'm going to divide it by 60. Okay. Now, 60 can't go into 2. It also can't go into 20. All right. So I'm looking over here. 60 times 5 was 300. That's too big. I might try 60 times 3. Okay. 6 times 3 is 18. So I got 180. I think that's probably all that is going to be able to go in. So 3 times, and then 3 times 60, I just got 180. All right. Now, 8 minus 0 is 8. You could cross it off, or you could also just think about 20 minus 18, just this part, 20 minus 18, and that's 2, okay? So for this, you got 3 remainder 28, and since they gave you this answer, you can actually just fill it in like this. So our whole number is the number of hours. So it's 3 hours, and then our number of minutes is the number left over. So 28 minutes. 208 minutes equals 3 hours, 28 minutes. So you're going to have to see on the practice problems what it's asking for. If there's only one blank and it's not a whole number, that means it wants to give you it wants you to give them a fraction. If they give 2 blanks, that means that the remainder is going to be okay. So you have to pay attention to what they're asking. All right, 3 problems down, 3 to go, so you're halfway done. Problem number 4. 7 minutes and 12 seconds equals blank seconds. Okay, so this part's already in seconds. So at the end, we're just going to be able to add that on. What I'm going to focus on first is getting that minutes into seconds. Okay, so my step 2, I'm going to write what I know about minutes and seconds. So I know that 1 minute equals 60 seconds. All right, this time I'm going bigger to smaller. Minutes are bigger. Okay. Bigger to smaller means I multiply. So remember, I'm not focusing on this right now. I'm not focusing on the 12 because we need seconds and this is already in seconds. So I'm going to focus on the minutes, that's 7, and I'm going to multiply it times this 60. All right? You have to really pay attention to what you're thinking of, okay? So then I go over here, 60 times 7. 6 times 7 is 42. All right, now, I have 420 seconds, but there was also that 12 seconds. Don't forget about that extra 12 seconds, so I have to add on that 12 seconds. 0 plus 2, 2 plus 1, 4 plus 0. So my answer is 432 seconds, okay? So if you see something like this, it's going to have 2 the same. So the seconds were the same. So you can ignore those seconds until the end when you add it on, after you've already converted whatever you need to convert. All right, I'm going to turn my page sideways for the last 2. Here's number 5, practice problem. All right, comparing 330 minutes. Is it greater than, equal to, or less than 7.5 hours? Okay, so you've got to pick which one you're going to do, which one you're going to convert. Okay, so you don't do both. I think I'm going to convert minutes into hours. So I'm going to say 330 minutes equals blank hours. All right, now that was step 1. Step 2, what do I know? I know that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. All right. I'm going from minutes to hours, so smaller to bigger. Smaller to bigger means I need to divide, okay? So I'm going to have my 330, and I'm going to divide it by 60, okay? Now, use what you've already done. Use the work that we've already done. So I'm going to look back over here. So 330. Okay, so 360 is too big, so it can't go in 6 times, which means it must only go in 5 times, okay? So it couldn't go into that, so it goes in 5 times. So 5 times 60, that was 300. When I'm left after I subtract, I have 30 left. So I know I'll have a fraction, but I know it'll be somewhere in the hours of 5. So I have to think, what's bigger, 5 hours or 7.5 hours? 7.5 hours is definitely going to be bigger. So I don't even have to really finish solving this one because I know that 7 is bigger than 5. So my sign's going to go that way. Okay. All right, last problem. This is a word problem, and this one will match number 7 on your practice buddy, okay? So it matches number 7 on your practice buddy. But this is this is number 6 that we're doing together. Okay. Brock spends 15 minutes walking to school and 15 minutes walking home each day. Okay? So 15 minutes to school and 15 minutes home each day. All right? By the end of the school week, which is 5 days, how many hours has Brock spent traveling between home and school? Okay, so there's 5 days in a school week. So first we have to think how much he walks each day. So 15 school, 15 home, that would mean 30 minutes total, all right? Then he does that for 5 days. So I'm gonna multiply that by my 5 days. So 3 times 5 is 15, and then I have my 0 that I add on to the end, okay? 30 times 5 is 150. So that's 150 minutes that he walks each day, okay? But the question's asking how many hours does he spend, okay? So this is where I have to solve. So 150 minutes equals blank hours. Step 2, I know that there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. Step 3, minutes to hours, smaller to bigger, which means I have to divide. I'm running out of room on my paper, but I'll do it over here, okay? So I'm going to take that 150, and I'm going to divide it by 60, okay? 60 can't go into 1, can't go into 5. All right, so I've got to think. Okay, I already know that 60 plus 60 is 120 because 6 plus 6 is 12. So that means it's only going to be able to go in 2 times. Remember, every time you divide, it's always going to be by 60. So once you solve these multiplication problems one time, you don't have to do them again. Save your paper, okay? 2 times 60 is 120. When I subtract, 5 minus 2 is 3. So I end up with 2 as my whole number and 30/60ths with my remainder and my denominator, okay? But I know that 30/60ths, we already talked about that, is 1/2 because 30 is half of 60. So my actual answer is 2.5 hours, okay? So again, this will match number 7 on your review, all right? So this is just more practice of things that we've already done. You will do your practice buddy now and make sure you turn it in when you're done. Thanks for watching.